What does it truly mean to be diverse? And what does biblical diversity look like? No one's asking that question. No one's asking, is it okay to sacrifice our unity on the back of diversity?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that, because that's the next thing I want to talk about.
Well, looky here. I didn't even know. Maybe I just know you, girl.
Let's see if there's any principles from Scripture that we can get when it comes to qualified applicants. I'm particularly thinking about that issue of qualified applicants. And I wanted to share a few scriptures for us just to think about and consider and talk about. This is a passage from Deuteronomy chapter 1, verses 9 to 18. And this is where Moses appoints some leaders just as they're about to go into the promised land. And he says, I'm not able to take care of you by myself. The Lord your God has made you grow in number, so there are as many of you as the stars of the sky. So he says, I cannot take care of your problems, your troubles, your arguments by myself. This is kind of a modern translation. So choose some men from each tribe, wise men who have understanding and experience, and I will make them leaders over you. So notice here kind of the qualifications are of godly leadership. That's what we're recruiting for. And he's going to appoint them. And these are going to be people who are listen to the arguments between the people. And they have to be able to judge fairly between two Israelites or between an Israelite and a foreigner. They have to be fair to everyone. In other words, they have to be able to act impartially because they are acting on behalf of God as if God was judging. So I think this is interesting that these are some of the qualifications that go into the types of leaders, in a recruiting situation of what Moses was looking for. And these are fairly timeless principles here, being able to judge fairly, impartially, wisdom, understanding, people of experience. In other words, not young men, not, as it says in the New Testament, new converts.
Yeah, I think that we have completely turned the table on what it means to, one, be a leader, but then two, what recruiting looks like. When we're talking about like, who are we going to hire? Who are we going to look for? The first criteria is, what is their skin color? Not, are they crooked?
Yeah.
Not if something pop off, is she gonna be ratchet? You know what I mean? Like we need to understand, like, is he or she a person of good report? Like, are they temperate? Are they understanding? Like, we have our priorities just completely in the bag the wrong way.
Now these are qualifications for elders. This is from 1 Timothy chapter 3 for elders and deacons. But I think that this also helps us. There's a lot of like just good general principles in this for leaders in general. When you're looking for leaders, to be above reproach. In other words, a person of integrity, someone who is faithful, in their family commitments, they're self-controlled, they're respected by outsiders, hospitality. For an elder. And I think this is even good principle in management, is they're able to teach, they're able to instruct their subordinates under them on, this is how we conduct ourselves. They're able to be good mentors. They're not coming to work drunk all the time, they
don't do that.
They don't have addictions. They're not violent. They're gentle, not quarrelsome, not greedy. Scripture has a lot to say about not engaging in theft and not frauding people. In this case, not being a recent convert, I think that's somewhat equivalent of the Old Testament of being a person of experience, good reputation with outsiders. In the same way, deacons ought to be people who don't pursue dishonest gain. So I think that these are kind of universal. There's some universal principles here of not just for Christians, but this is what our culture has historically looked upon as being, quote unquote, good people, decent people.
Yes. And I think that that those principles can be applied to a work environment. And as Christians, especially, these are the kind of people that we should be seeking out.
For the teachers
Yeah.
in our Christian schools, Christian higher ed,
Mm-hmm.
our churches,
Yeah.
pastors, all of that.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you're someone who's working in a secular environment, you know, one of the passages said, you know, that he's able to lead his family well. Well, is this person able to lead a good team? How do they lead their teams? When you do your like, what do you call those things? Reference calls. You know, what are we looking for? This is so much deeper than, well, she Black.
Yeah.
By golly, we got us a Black one. Like, no. And what kind of stereotyping and racist mess is that? Like, we want to talk about racism, and it's so racist when you exclude Black people. But can we also talk about the fact that when you are only seeking somebody out because of the color of their skin, that's also racist?